Hi, how's it in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's Garabo. Yeah. I like to say it's your girl Crank K, but I realized that I'm no one's girl. What's up? It's the 12th of January 2023. 2024. It's a Friday. It's 2021 in terms of the time. And yeah, let's get into this. Let me put some caveats out there. I may or may not be wearing application makeup. If I am, you'll know. Okay, if it's there, it's gonna bounce around, so just look out for that. I'm not like, I like it. Okay, secondly, my captions are not always accurate. They're either misspelled or something, or inaccurate entirely, like the word is not what I said. Or they have a small G for God, so they're irreverent, whatever y'all. Look, I don't have an editor, so we just run with what we have. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not in the mood of blushing my cheeks. Should I do it? Should I do it? Just to show that I'm human. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's just do it really quickly because I'm like not okay. Like, yeah, whatever. I'm just dealing. There we go. That evidences that I'm human and stuff. So look out for that. Also, I have a white cast sunscreen and it causes my brows to be gray. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just there. Plus, it helps my skin look fresh. Not the white cast, just the sunscreen. Okay, cool. Let's get into this. Have you guys seen the movie The Stepford Wives? The first one. There's a Stepford Wives remake of like 2000 and something, 15, 16, whatever. But then there was the original Stepford Wives movie. It's on YouTube. You can actually just Google it. Yeah, that is the kind of phenomenon that's following me around right now, and it's just really disturbing. So in the original, so the latter Stepford Wives, the one that was done recently, there's like hope in the end. It has a happy ending because there's a way to recover the converted women back to what they used to be. But the original Stepford Wives is kind of dystopian. It just has this horrible ending where the one person that picked up on the issue had a friend with whom they were investigating the issue, ultimately gets converted. And it's a process of actually murdering the original woman and replacing her with like a doppelganger that is robotic. So there is absolutely no potential for the other woman to come back. It ends in such an eerie way. The lady is pushing a trolley in a grocery store, saying hi, being a Stepford wife when she was a protagonist to a movement trying to essentially rescue women from this zombie state. Yeah, I'm being attacked by that. And the only reason why men would attack me with that Stepford disease is because they got to you. The movie Stepford Wives, the original one, they kill the former woman. They end her life and replace her with a doppelganger. So there's no going back. These men feel like you are doppelgangers that will never bounce back. And so for those reasons, they keep coming for the rest of us that have not converted to robots that can just be controlled with a remote control. Like we are not human. They think they can just dangle us as puppets on strings and move us in whatever direction that they want us to go. And that pomp, that arrogance that they have is only because you appear, all of you, to be successfully taken. The strategy to coup me is only because they've succeeded so much everywhere else. So I don't know how many times I can say this. Your godlessness is causing anarchy on the part of uncontrollable men that feel like they want their bread buttered on both sides. They're just gonna take it. I'm gonna tell you what I'm being bombarded by right now. It's a myriad of things. I presently am not in love with anyone. I do not have feelings right now for anyone. I'm basically a woman whose heart is banked for the prospect of romance, but there's nobody with whom I'm fraternizing right now that is feasibly spurring up any kinds of feels in me, emotions that are authentic or organic. Yet, despite that being a thing, I am lambasted, severely bombarded by feelings of nostalgia, romantic ones, feelings of endearment, feelings of love, for someone that I got over literally a decade ago. Somebody that I got over a decade ago. And such attacks at my person with lost love, singing to me John Legend's song, ran into you yesterday. Memories rushed through my brain, it's starting to hit me. Now you're not with me, I realize I made a mistake. I thought that I needed some space, but I just let love go to waste. It's so crystal clear now, I need you here now. I gotta get you back today. The same man that's singing that is going out of his way to try and crush, brutalize, devastate a family, some other woman, in order for him to just get his bread buttered on both sides. No regard, no respect for how he's going to make both women look, both families look, how he's going to shatter anybody in these streets. It's all about just what am I gonna get? Because I'm hurting. My broken little heart needs mending. And there is nobody that's going to help me along in this endeavor other than who I want right now. Yo, you know what? This conversation, I didn't even know what to say today. I didn't even know how to bring this conversation forward. Because, Nikki, I didn't know how to tackle it. What do I talk to? Because I'm tired of repeating myself concerning an incredibly abusive batch of men that have discovered witchcraft and so are using it as like this means to get whatever they want, their wishes fulfilled, their dreams to come true, just grabbing everything and anything. So, seeing as I've been trying to convince women to do a better thing, to turn against this wickedness, to turn to God first of all, and then secondly to help me, to support me, I guess I will keep on doing that over and over again because it absolutely is, it's a non-option for me to go out of this through men. It's a non-option because none are noble, at present anyway, that I've met, enough to recognize the travesty of leaving a woman abandoned just because she won't come into your space. I have a few prepared to help me get out of this insofar as I also get in their pants. I mean, that's no secret. It's no, what do you call this? It's nothing surprising. That's what men do. Y'all know that. Like, they're happy to help you achieve your goals insofar as you're achieving them while riding him. And that stuff is problematic. It's been problematic for a minute. Women have been complaining for a minute. And yet you just keep letting it happen. It's like you're telling yourself, yeah, it's one of those issues that you will riot over. You will complain about them, you will march about it, you will stand up against it. But given that it's such a monolithic structure, in the run-up to ultimately conquering and getting on the other side successful in achieving this endeavor, you're going to do what you need to do to get from the next day to the next day. I guess that's why revolutions take this long, don't they? It's because there are some people who just don't want to ride out the time and basically walk in delayed gratification, waiting. Do you understand? Delayed gratification, waiting for the comeuppance, waiting for your breakthrough, waiting for the day when you're finally going to get what you need to achieve. I don't know what to do anymore, but then again, I serve a holy God, and he obviously knows what's going on here. Even though I don't understand it, I don't know why he's left me destitute like this. Can you all be so roboticized? There are so many evidences all over the show displaying that the world is literally coming to an end. But I'm not so naive as to latch on to that alone. Like Tarzan swinging on a rope, one day I'm gonna hit a tree. So I gotta hope for a future. I gotta try to see if maybe tomorrow is not a thing that's gonna happen. I cannot merely sit here and wait around to get raptured, taken up in the sky, because look at the world around, it's trash, and nobody's ever gonna breathe again. While I do believe that the world is trash and no one is ever gonna breathe again, at the end of the day, it is a trashy world that no one can breathe in, that I am nonetheless in, that I have to try and live in, until such time that I get proven true that it's unbreathable and unlivable, and we all gotta go. Until such time that we do finally go, I gotta try to live. And so every day is a striving to get out of this mess, even though every day is a longing for the Lord to come and rapture the body of Christ. Between those two extremes, I've gotta keep on negotiating with a bunch of deadbeat, like, hard-headed randos who stand to be debilitated by the very same structures that are attempting to gnaw away at my flesh, and yet imagine themselves exempt for whatever reason from the thing that is literally finishing me off like Pac-Man, eating me alive. That's exactly what's happening right now. Pac-Man is eating me whole, and Pac-Man, after consuming all of my flesh, is coming for you. If anything, Pac-Man is currently gnawing away at everybody else's flesh. It's just that the necrotizing nature of Pac-Man is a little bit more rapid with me because of my living conditions, because of my life, because of how sad everything around me is. Otherwise, this bacteria, this fasciitis that is eating away at my flesh is eating away at pretty much every woman's flesh. There's literally absolutely no woman that is safe from this calamity. You're all just being dropped like dominoes, raped left and right by men that picked up a shiny thing on the side of the street, decided to rub it, and discovered that it's a genie in a bottle, and then asked for you to be their girlfriend, you to be their wives, even though last week you rejected them. They imagine they can get anything they want using this stuff. They utterly shatter lives, destroy them, mow you to the ground, put you in a grave almost, to acquire that which does not belong to them. They are prepared in order to get the bread buttered on both sides and then burp thereafter to decimate your life, that they might ultimately get to say, look at me, pomp, bashing their chests on a mountaintop. I did it. Fine, it might have taken 12 years, but I finally brought her back. How are you gonna buy attrition? Exsanguinate all affection from a woman's life until she thinks you a feasible partner to go out with into the sunset when she dumped you 12 years ago. Pumegue 12 years ago. But I mean, you did exsanguinate all love from her life. Make sure no other man looks at her. Make sure no other man regards her with any favor until you become the best freaking thing that ever happened to her in over a decade. That's what they do. It's what y'all must understand. And so if you think that I am naive to basically be a protagonist against this agenda, regarded as seditious to a large extent over this matter, if you think all of that sedition is naive, I guess it is naive to seek out a solution, a cure for necrotizing fasciitis, isn't it? Sit around as human beings and take in our stride, being eaten away flesh by flesh, bone by bone, marrow by marrow, everything in your life just get Pac-Man gnawed away at with absolutely no alleviating measures in place, nothing to reprieve those of us who keep on getting gnawed away at as like with a gangrene. We just gotta take it in our stride. It's naive then for me to seek an antibiotic for this necrotizing fasciitis. Heck, I'm even prepared to take an amputation at this point, because who in the world wants to die from a flesh-eating bacteria? Who? And that's what these men have become. I don't know how many times I can explain all of this rubbish to you. It's not just me. If I were to die from this, which it appears that, this thing is strangling me, drawing breath out of my lungs in favor of itself, that I might imagine I have no other breathing machine but them. And if I were to finally die from it, because that's exactly what they're doing, killing me. They're bored when there's no witchcraft to cast. Once their victims are in the grave, they get bored. Just like any virus, when the host dies, it starts to die unless it finds another host. Exactly. I'm just another thing that this gangrene consumes and then moves on to the next one. They will keep on gnawing away into you, your daughters, your structures, until there is nothing left of value anymore. Do you know what happens over time when you keep on crossbreeding with wicked men? You conceive children that are no longer sustainable on the earth. These guys are grabbing for themselves wives that don't make sense for them because they are too lofty for them. And in so doing, literally water down the genes of children. And in so watering down the genes of children, make substandard children out of women that were so superior that Banabatenya are just these lackluster things walking around. You're setting up your own children for failure when you keep on allowing some random weird strangers to fertilize your eggs when they don't make sense. This is exactly, like literally, if at all you're not choosing a person because it's who it is that you imagine is what's going to make sense for tomorrow and the next day and the next day. If you do not procreate thoughtfully, really just regarding what under heaven it is that makes sense for you as a woman, if you don't choose based on your own desires, a mate, if you don't allow somebody to court you based on your suite of compatibilities with him, you will continue to breed these lackluster babies until there is nothing left of value in society, in children anymore. You know what you make sense with. You know who you ought to be with. You know with whom you can have vibrant conversations. But if a person is making you a little zombie that's kind of dead in a relationship and you're just taking in your stride some guy that doesn't make sense, at some point you're going to make children that don't make sense for you as a mom. And you're going to raise these kids to further down the line also water themselves down. You are watering yourselves down by not choosing God, and you are watering yourselves down by settling for something that you knew yesterday. No, sai badly. Just yesterday you wanted nothing to do with this thing. Why now are you thinking about it? Why under heaven are you still caught up in that thought? Why are you allowing yourself to stray like that? It's obvious. It's been like that for a minute. It's the reason why you would not date him the first time he asked you out. But now, you're not only dating him, but you've accepted his proposal. How is that even a thing? I'm gonna talk about what's going on right now, okay? Inside me, so that you can identify it in yourself and maybe perhaps do a better thing as women. Angtembi Matota, I don't trust them. I know that they're not all evil, but you see, the sad and uncomfortable thing about what's going on with me is that all of these incredibly nefarious men, the very wicked ones, these diabolical creeps, are like security guards outside of a very heavily fortified jail cell. That's what they are. They are like armed guards outside of a titanium steel, perhaps 10 centimeter thick bars in solitary confinement jail cell that I am in. And this jail cell that I'm in that I can't get out of is also soundproof. So they're using a whole bunch of sorcery to make sure that decent men do not look at me. They're doing everything in their power to make it look as if the society has been robbed entirely of any man at all. That the patriarchy has ceased to be, it has fizzled away. That nothing of manhood is left, and all that I have for an option are all of them. All that I have as an option are all of them. So my ministry is strangely unperused by men in particular. That makes sense. And so I'm not about to get rescued out of this by any harrowing man that is going to do a better thing and not expect anything out of me. Because I promise you right now, there are plugs in their ears that are making it impossible for me to listen to them. That are making it impossible for me to speak to them. Sorry. Given that that's what's going on, all that's looking at me are these charlatans that are as incendiary as they are in their agenda against women. I'm essentially screwed unless women do a better thing. Or the Lord will get me out of this somehow miraculously, but not first before making it clear that women, when I do finally get out of this without you, whatever is going to plague those who tried to decimate me will not walk right past your doorpost. This is like the Passover blood petition, where I'm saying put some blood on your doors and help me, because I am being abused by some pretty evil men, and they are making sure that nobody else is looking at me. Right now there are two of them, and their witchcraft is intermingled. It's crossbreeding. It's like a matrix witchcraft, in the sense that the one sorcery is helping the other and the other sorcery is helping the other, but they're not friends. They're not allied. If anything, they're at enmity with each other. And they think that the one is namby-pamby in comparison to the other. And so they keep on using one or the other against the other in order to ultimately get the girl. Like a bunch of animals fighting in the wilderness, trying to bank a mate. And so it doesn't really matter how much blood they shed. And it also does not matter if that mate that they're fighting over, thanks to their fight, ends up dying. When you want a woman so badly that you're prepared to rip her in two so that she could be shared among two men instead of her actually be with one guy. When you want her so badly that you're prepared, long story short, for her to die. That's what I'm enduring. But I should not speak like a person that is in fear. I will not lie and say that I'm not scared. I am. Because I've never been this lamp-based and bombarded in my life by so many evil men all at the same time. It's just menacing what I'm enduring. It's menacing. As a result, my faith is shaken. As a result, I'm struggling a lot with believing that I'm going to get out of this. Because just as I recover from one sorrow, another one slaps me. And I frankly don't know at what point I'm going to be reprieved from the insanity of men. Allow me to tell some stories, because y'all know I can do that. When I was like 2021, I was staying Kotladi Soweto with my relatives, whatever. I was not very well treated, but that's not the whole moral of the story. I had a cousin there who was younger than me by 4 years, so she was still in high school at the time. Latter years of high school, perhaps like maybe grade 11 or matric. And she had a friend that was, from her descriptions, I'd also met this friend one time before in the past when she came over to the house to visit her friend. A very beautiful young woman, a beautiful young girl. I guess she was still a girl. She was incredibly smart. If anything, she was a grade more advanced than everybody else in her age group because she was smart. She was that girl. She was the maths kid. She was the science kid. She was basically looking forward to a great future. This friend of my little cousin's, she was also, like I said, very, very beautiful. However, there was this wannabe, like, ex-famous boy in the country that once upon a time was the glory of the day. Like, imagine the jock in your high school that every girl wants. But then you get out of matric and you start messing with drugs and all different kinds of nasty things, and you don't do as well as you did in school, and then you become the big fat chunky disappointment. You become the thing that once everybody thought you would have been really amazing, and then you come out on the other side rolled out flat on the ground like dough in an oven that you open the oven too quickly, and so iflopile, so there's no rescuing that. Yeah, a guy like that. I've got my own fair share of such men that I met after high school that were the promising dude of the future, that everybody looked forward to basically what's going to happen to them as they get older, because look at how awesome they are in school, and then you bump into them 3 years after high school and their eye sockets are sunken in kiriboto because they decided to just squander their futures on drugs or whatever. Well, there was one such man of that nature, and he was, even in the entertainment industry, he was popular. He had basically a future in continuity presenting, etc. Yeah, he was gonna be a star in the country, grow from strength to strength. Maybe one day he might have even ended up on top billing as a presenter. He was smart, very well-spoken, eloquent, and yeah, and in his young days on TV, my cousin and I, my older cousin and I, basically the one that I was the same age with, right? Her sister, we used to have a crush on him from behind the television screen. Like guys that are famous and they're cute, they're young, they are on YoTV or KTV or whatever, like a kiddies show, and they continuity present and they've got a bright future. Yeah. And so all the little girls watching TV are like, oh, he's so cute. When we were all in high school, everybody was out there trying to date him. Go Gandhi Square, otherwise at the time it was known as Van der Bale. All the chicks were all up and around him because he used to also spit lines. He was a rapper. He could spit. Yeah. So Nali popular. He was our age. That's what I'm getting at. He was our age and he was extremely popular when we were all in high school. But we got out of high school, like I said, at this stage I'm like 21, and so is he. He's like, he wasn't our age. He was even slightly older, maybe like a 1981, like 3 years older than us. So essentially, he kind of dodged the bullet of statutory rape, given that that chick was like 16. Anyway, whatever. All right. This guy that used to be very popular back when we were in school, that everybody was looking forward to, did not maintain that. After he matriculated, after he got out of school, he did not maintain it. Even the entertainment industry spat him out because what are you doing with your drugs? He squandered himself. He threw himself away. So he became what we all call seboto. But when you're 21 and you're a seboto, it doesn't really show that much because 21, all your collagen is intact, you're very beautiful. If you've cleared acne, even better. It is only those that knew you at the height of your glory, that can see that oravazele. But a 21-year-old eravazele that nobody else knows from the past as to what they used to look like does not show. He does not show that he's ravazad. He does not show that he's been tattered, that he's been destroyed. Yeah, because he's 21. I mean, who in the world can find out there an ugly 21-year-old? Like, they all are beautiful, even when they're on drugs. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes people that don't know this person will fall for the trap of some has-been that is every mother's worst nightmare when their daughter is dating him. It's like, I don't want my kid near that guy because he's gonna get my daughter into some things. So step away from my child. He was that thing. He lost his clout among us. And so because we were not looking at him anymore, in other words, his age-appropriate girls, women that were appropriate for his age, when we got older, we matured, we were working, some of us in corporate South Africa, others of us were, I was 20, 21, some of us were in varsity and what have you. Yeah, well, people that are responsibly getting their degrees or working their first ever jobs, don't date the guy that squandered his future on cocaine or on drugs or on marijuana or whatever. We just move on and be like, yo, it's unfortunate, Tsepo used to be so much better, but Owele now, he's all fallen now. So when Tsepo, since that's the name I've given him, is being regarded as I'm not touching that by women that are his age. If he wants to continue to fornicate since he doesn't know Jesus, if he wants to continue to be in love, date, all that jazz, he's gonna go walking up and down the aisles of a high school. He's going to go Ayoshela in high schools. A lot of these guys that became Diboto after matric always harassed high school girls. The only ones that dated in varsity and in corporates where they worked are the ones that actually grew when everybody else was growing. They were brave enough to pursue entire students at varsities, but the ones that squandered their lives were always tapping into high school girls. They were always tapping into that market because that market does not know any better. I would know when I was about 17, I dated one such rando who after high school just threw himself away, but I dated him because I didn't know any better. And so such a thing as this happened again with my cousin's friend. This bright young woman with a massive future, so smart she could get scholarships all across the South Africa, but no, she made a decision to date this guy. And when she started dating him, she came home, my cousin came home and told me and her sister, and the two of us, especially my cousin who knew him better because she was the one that was all over the show when we were growing up. She was the one that was always go Gandhi Square / Vanderbilt, etc., hanging out with all these rappers and what have you. She was like, yo, Utepo back in the day used to be this and that and blah blah blah, and he was so popular, but now he's all fallen and we all know it. How could your friend date Tepo? Anyway, my cousin was like, it's who she met, and besides they met at a party, that's the thing. Met at a party, they liked each other, probably not gonna last much. It's not gonna last long. But then this little 16-year-old girl makes a decision to just fall violently in love with this has-been. That is obviously a has-been. She was smart enough to know better, but then again, I was also that smart at some point in my life, and I also dated a guy that I didn't even know what he did for a career, and I was still with him. I, however, did not go on right ahead to decide to make a baby with that guy. I kind of kept that in a bunch, but anyway, here it is that this 16-year-old, 17-year-old girl, she was actually 16 when my cousin was 17. Yeah. Because like I said, she was one year younger than everybody. So she was 16. So that guy literally dodged the bullet of statutory rape by like just a margin. Like he just barely made it. He barely made it. She was 16. He was like, I'm like 20. What, 20? He's 23. Yeah. He's 23, dating a 16-year-old girl. And she tells herself that she's in love. Right? She was already naughty in school, smoking weed and all that jazz. That's what everybody's doing. But then when she came with this guy, when she hooked up with this guy, the habit became worse. Like the marijuana became worse. The drug taking basically became worse, and all they could do is just fornicate. All they could do is just fornicate. All they could do is just fornicate. And this relationship lasted, and it just kept on lasting, and it just kept on lasting. And my cousin would come back and tell us stories about basically her friend with this has-been rapper guy that was also a TV presenter. Yeah, and it was just an unfortunate thing that we understood. All of us on some, Aisha, your friend is throwing away her life with this guy, but maybe she'll snap out of it. Until one day my cousin came to us, and was like, hey, let's say her name was Mpumi. She was like, Mpumi's pregnant. Yeah, so Mpumi fell pregnant. And, well, the rest is history. She had his baby. Don't know what's ever since then happened with Mpumi. Maybe she's made something valuable of herself. I don't know if she's still with Tepo. I highly doubt it. But like this dude went on right ahead and impregnated Mpumi, and the parents of Mpumi hated this guy. From the very get-go, they couldn't stand him. It was just problematic that this guy was in this chick's life. But the thing that caused this chick to fall, basically head over heels in love with this Tepo guy, was everything that made us fall in love with Tepo, or like Tepo, crush on him, like, you know, little star-studded, like a whole, not star-studded, what do you call it, starstruck, us being like, oh, he's so cute, like having a crush on a celebrity, because he was a celebrity to a certain extent in the country. Yeah, among kids, he was quite popular. The very thing that Eric Kaziteng Guyana is the same thing Eric Kaziteng this chick, because he was cool. He was still able to spit those lines. Essentially, the thing that impresses high school girls was impressing a high school girl, but this guy was now out of school. Not girl, sorry, this guy was out of school. The girl was still in school. We had left school, and we knew him for what it is that was the crashed and burned charcoaly thing in the corner that he was. But this like little high school girl did not quite see it that way, and nobody could speak sense into her head. It was unfortunate. She went on right ahead and fell pregnant by him. So that's a woman that squandered her uterus on that guy. She squandered one of her eggs on that guy. She squandered a child's bill of health on that guy. And by bill of health, I'm speaking spiritually. She gave her child generational curses that will one day manifest when that kid is older. If it was a boy or if it was a girl, inevitably she might end up like her mom, because these things follow people around. There are spiritual ramifications or consequences to everything that we do. And so while everybody has got foolishness in youth, right? Yeah, it's ideal if it all we recover from that foolishness, if we overcome, if we finally get on to the other side of that foolishness, essentially largely unscathed. But when you go on right ahead and have that baby in high school to that random dude, you're gonna have a foolish era of youthfulness. You're gonna have it follow you into your old age. And that's what happened with this chick. She is followed by a foolish era into old age. And I'm trying to help women basically reprieve themselves from the prospect of awarding such beastly men babies when you're still in your prime, when you're still young, and also when you are still kind of foolish. Like, first of all, unrobe yourself from the folly, unrobe yourself from the foolishness, because that foolishness can make you make a mistake that you will one day recognize as a mistake. But like I said, it's one day. And once you walk in that one dayness, that's when bitterness sets in so exquisitely that you then cannot for the life of you stand for other women who have not made the same mistake that you made. When you water down your gene pool and give a rubbish of a man a baby, you are subjugated to the tyranny of that being your baby daddy. Setse ile seboto in the future that is absolutely unwanted by any sober woman at all. But he's your baby daddy. He's your ex-husband. He is, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that makes women so bitter that they cannot stand for people like me. Women that I guess conquered their foolish era, because all fools are equal, but some fools are more equal than others. We all start out kind of foolish, but others are more foolish than others. Like women who agree to give men children out of wedlock, le joy la fela, ilidi boyfriends. That's more foolish than others. All fools are made equal, but some fools are more equal than others. I was more equal than other fools because I was a fool to date certain guys, but I was smart enough to refuse to give any of them a child. But I'm dealing right now with men who want to basically resolve in me using my exquisite pain, the sorrow that I'm in. They are trying to tell me it's because you refused to give us children when we were all 22, that you are now at 39, basically facing menopause without any kids. They're trying to make it look as if though I was arrogant to refuse to have a child out of wedlock with a boyfriend, because look at me be 39 with a geriatric womb and facing the threat of never being a mother. They're trying to make a sound decision by a young woman that is still in the world, not yet in Christ, look like it was dumb. They're trying to make that which was actually wise look foolish. And on that day, you're grabbing evil and calling it good, and you're calling good evil. You are flipping things upside down. You are calling bitter and sweet bitter. That's what this whole situation is about. There is a whole bunch of miscreants trying to make people who made good decisions when they were still on the come up look like they shouldn't have done that. People who made sound decisions in walking out of certain environments. They're trying to make us feel as if though if you hadn't left, you wouldn't be in this position. Like something that was an absolutely right decision is now being threatened with looking like the biggest mistake a person ever made. That level of arrogance dwelling inside people. Somebody got to nip it in the bud. Somebody got to riot against it. Somebody got to cause some kind of a raucous concerning this. Because absent of doing such a thing as that, we will be a watered down human race somewhere along the way. We will be a people that have just taken a lot of rubbish lying down, and now everything is a Neanderthal in society. Everything is discombobulated and confounded. Everything is upside down. Everything is being born with some kind of a congenital generational issue. Everything is nasty because everybody settled. Everybody took bad, unwise decisions in their stride. Because absent of going out like that, apparently, allegedly, a person ceases to have a life at all. I believe we all must basically bow down and be at the mercy of also the beck and call of every witch in these streets. I'm sorry, we are creating a mammoth dystopia. We are creating quite the unlivable society, full of mutated little children walking around that make no sense to be building a future society. We cannot, as a society, capitulate to the dreams and wishes of these pompous men and women that keep on using witchcraft to get everything they want. Because if we did that, like I said, mutations in our children that are not going to be discovered as mutations until society crumbles into an immoral meltdown that we are already making observations of today, are we not? We are already seeing some pretty crazy things happening out there in the wilderness, are we not? People disregarding truth for exactly what it is, truth. They absolutely refuse to embrace that which we've all along agreed is truth. It is provably truth. It is empirically truth. And yet they are trying to make it look as if though it's anything but. They are trying to make it appear objective. They are subjective, sorry. They're trying to make it appear relative. Like shifting shadows, a little bit of gray is what we're gonna do today. Yeah. They want to run with that random rubbish. And so manje, our societies are looking more and more dastardly and absent of seizing this thing and nipping it in the bud. We are going to have further mutations than what it is that we are already making an observation of. Look at the unreasonable way of thinking presently by Gen Zs. It's frankly ridiculous. I blame their parents, the Gen X's, the ones prior to that, maybe even some millennials. They cannot, for the life of them, do the right thing. And so they are giving birth to these mutated offspring, these progeny that are half the size of what it is that they ought to have been, because they were made to bow down to esoteric magic. They were made to bow down to secret societies. They were made to bow down to men and women who think they've got extra special knowledge and they can get whatever they want on a silver platter, a big fat chunky buffet of the human race is awarded them, where they can consume anyone's gifts and talents and grab any woman from the table they want insofar as they wave a magic wand. Absolutely unacceptable. And if people don't want to agree with me, you don't have to. This here is an extinction level event, I keep on saying it. If people do not do better, the Lord is not going to allow the dwindling nature of children to continue in the way that they're continuing. Already there are teachers all over the world lamenting about how Generation Alpha children are different. They're doing things differently. There's a weirdness about them. We thought Gen Zs were whack in terms of how they do things. Sometimes the Gen Alphas are going to be even more bizarre. And their children thereafter, worse off. Do you think God is not going to put a chock-a-block to all of that? This female that I'm busy telling you guys about, that was my cousin's friend. She gave some rando a baby, and every single time I am being bombarded by all of this incredible rubbish, the Lord shows me a prototype of that female, that friend of my cousin's, the very smart young woman, the math student, the science student, that nonetheless went at the age of, is it 16 or 17 or whatever, I believe she was 16, decided to go and give he didn't even have a stable job, rando, a baby. I don't know how they took care of it. Likely that girl's baby was likely taken care of by her parents, because that dude was just irresponsible. He didn't even have a job. I don't know how he was able to afford all that marijuana. So obviously grandparents raised that child with the mom. I would imagine that's what happened. My cousin is the only one that'd be able to confirm if that's a reality. But that's usually what happens when you just go and give some idiot a baby. Everybody's going to raise that child except that idiot. Everybody is going to raise that baby except that idiot. And I've got a bunch of idiots fetishizing the prospect of putting a bun in my oven. The child of which would, like I said, be substandard in comparison to what I would have gotten if I had waited for the right guy. And secondly, highly unlikely raised by such an idiot as that. These men, from what the Lord shows me, are like ones who, upon making children, it's like they're experimenting to see if their semen works. It's like they are just thrusting into women, ejaculating inside of them to see if at all they can impregnate a woman. So it's a sport. It's a sport for them. It is something that they do in order to make themselves feel like men. Because look, I can make a baby. They just like to hit home runs and manufacture some children, only so as to prove that they can. Following which, they then are such reprobates concerning the upbringing of these children, that these kids are better off with just their moms. Those are the kinds of men that want me. There is a filthy man. That is an understatement. He is dastardly. He is debilitated, absolutely smashed and grabbed. A write-off that keeps on fantasizing, despite being HIV positive, about putting a baby in my stomach, and also despite the fact that I find him nerve-wracking. He is scary. I am literally afraid of him, and yet he cannot stop fantasizing about sex with me until he hits a home run with HIV. And what he is doing in continuing to go back to the drawing board with this witchcraft, what he hopes to achieve is essentially the status of many other women who are now today looking at me on some, look at you with all of your standards, Karabo. You don't have a child and you're almost 40. It turns out that if you had given that ex of yours of 5 years a baby back when you were 25, you'd at least be a mom now. I lamented about that whole at least phenomenon. I am supposed to just rush and make a baby with anything that desperately wants to make one with me, so that I can say to all those women that, hey, I still had a baby at 40. It's not like I was completely empty-handed in that regard. Well, women, there are women who are doing that right now. There is a celebrity in this country that gave birth to a son, don't nobody know who the baby daddy is, only because she was in her 40s and decided, I'm gonna go and have a baby now because clearly nothing's coming my way. I'm supposed to be that woman that is just gonna have a baby, seeing as I can't really trust men, or seeing as I can't really get married, or seeing as it looks like what it is that I'm hoping is coming has already sailed. That ship has sailed. But my womb is still kind of operational, even though it's kind of geriatric. I gotta dust it off first before we make a baby, all up in that. But if at all I fall pregnant, even if it was a little late, at least I'm pregnant. So basically whatever standards I held when I was 25, saying I'm not gonna give a boyfriend a baby because what am I doing? He's a boyfriend. Now I'm being told at 39, haha, weren't you arrogant? Look, you don't have a child anymore. And it's you don't have a child at all. It's mindsets like those that have converted women, or they are that mindset is displaying that women have been successfully converted into step third wives. And if at all one cannot recover you back to who you used to be before then, I guess you've been permanently killed, haven't you? And now whatever is brought forth is something that is remote controllable by a caucus of misogynistic miscreants that think that they can just use women as puppets on a string, flip them and change them as they desire, and then feel really good about themselves for being really great at getting whatever they want. I find it disgusting, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Because I am apparently so small a number. I'm so rare in this mindset of mine that ain't nobody scared that I'm even whistleblowing. This insanity on the part of men in their fraternities who refuse to leave women alone when they say no, and who refuse to build virtue that they might be honorable enough to pursue women in a godly way, and so therefore be earning husbands, honorable husbands, deserving husbands of good women. Like, if you want a good girl, work. If you want a good woman, work on the character that you might be found noteworthy in her eyes. But instead, whether or not your personality is dastardly, whether or not you are a menace, whether or not you have absolutely no manners, whether or not you lack any self-control is irrelevant. Because insofar as you can wave a magic wand, you will get a woman to approve you even though she finds you, like I said, dastardly. Everything about you is menacing under normal circumstances. But under sorcery circumstances, you're a star. That's what's going on. So you just come with your grubby fingers and you grope a woman that would not under normal circumstances want anything to do with you. And you just slip your way into her life. Why? Because you know how to make a zombie out of a 100% literate and animated woman. A 100% sentient being. You converted into a mere vessel of your machinery. Whatever mechanics that you have put in her that respond to your remote control. You make women canyons into which you invest, like I said, machinery. And seeing as there's so many of them that are out here walking as militants, Karabo is outnumbered, right? And it's only a matter of time before anything changes. A couple of weeks back, maybe 2 months, the Lord showed me a dream of the scene in the movie Body Snatchers, where it is that the mother gets taken by a body snatcher and she's talking to her husband, who she wants to convince to sleep and allow himself to get taken by the body snatchers. And the husband resists. And this woman is like, where you gonna go? Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one out there like you left. She's even got this whole 666 thing going on. Where you gonna go? Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one out there like you left. I had a dream of that very scene in the Body Snatchers. I had a dream of that scene in the movie Body Snatchers. But instead of it being that woman from the movie, and instead of the husband being the one that the woman is saying that to, the woman was my former best friend, and I was the husband. Later on in that movie, the husband and the children run away, and when they get outside, the whole neighborhood, not the whole neighborhood, first the wife screams, like some funny little squeal, some screech. She screams, and the whole neighborhood comes out and points at her and screams too, ah! Evidencing that the whole neighborhood has been taken over by these body snatchers. The movie ends very sadly because there are only 2 people that have not been taken by the body snatchers. Only 2. The daughter and the boyfriend. Everybody else is gone. The dad at this point is gone. The little brother is gone. The whole family is taken. And there are only 2 survivors. That in that dream, it was me as the dad and my former best friend was the mother, busy telling me, Karabo, where you gonna go? Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one out there like you left. When I saw that dream, I was like, seriously? And God was like, yeah, that's what your friend thinks the world is. That was the Lord showing me her mindset and her sorcery. He was telling me that your friend believes that every woman has been taken, that everybody is like her, and that you're naive to stick to your guns. So all these women that are busy watching me suffer, standing back, just like my former best friend, all of these men with all of their menacing activity that have gotten to you and converted you into Stepford wives, Stepford women that are just happy to just abide. When I come here and I talk, you're like, Karabo, where you gonna go? Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one out there like you left. Well, if at all there's truly nobody out there like me left, then I guess there is no earth anymore for us to live on, is there? If really, truly, there's nowhere to go. I am not exaggerating when I say, therefore, that the world has come to an end. Because that level of dystopia has not been predicted in the Bible as a reality without God intervening. That level of callousness in the human heart, where everybody is just capitulating to every rubbish that can come. It is predicted that once the world gets there, it's over. Where men are lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, blasphemous, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, full of slander, despisers of those who do good, lovers of self rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, have nothing to do with such people when the world is increasing in lawlessness, and so therefore the love of many people is growing cold. That is called the end of days. That means it's over. So the moment people start to say, where you gonna go? Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one out there like you left. When people start to say stuff like that, I guess you're right. There is no one out there like me left. And if, like in the body snatchers, all that's left in the end are 2 people, I guess then the Lord will rapture that remnant. A completely nightmarish dystopian earth that's just going and going and going and going is unbiblical. It doesn't happen that way. God puts a stop to it. He intervenes. He says, no, not on my watch. And so it's entirely naive for anybody to think that I'm naive. It is rather naive of them to anticipate that this is just going to keep going and going until there is nothing left for me to look forward to anymore. It's naive, but people are sitting where they're sitting, comprehensively disregarding my cries for help, imaginative that at some point I'm eventually going to be snatched by the body snatchers. Women, these men are taking you for a ride, and they are unnecessary in what they're doing. And it is when men drop the ball like this that it's especially true that it's over for society. Why? Because men are supposed to be our heads. They're supposed to be leading us. They are the ones that are given the baton to run. They are the ones, according to God, that are to preach and exercise authority over women and children. Men are supposed to be the ones that are reverends, that are preachers, teachers. They are the ones that are supposed to be proliferating the word of God on earth. They're the ones that are supposed to be going to theological seminary and learning to become pastors. They're the ones that are supposed to be leading the whole universe, the whole human race, in godliness. And as women, we are supposed to be their helpers, suitables. The Lord can make women prophetic, like he did with Deborah. The Lord can make women stand in the gap or even, fight for a country, like in Jael or Deborah. But when it comes to teaching, pastoring, stuff like that, that's the job for men. When it comes to leading in godliness, a society, that is a job for men. And if men are not interested in leading a country in godliness, if they're not interested in leading a household in godliness, if they rather want to create step-third wives out of women, robots that are controlled entirely by them, that have none of their own autonomy, when they want to do that, they cease, therefore, to be what it is that they're supposed to be in the human race. And God will have no such thing happen. He would rather than flood the whole earth. He would end this concern as we know it. I'm doing it. It's up there. That's why I'm busy looking. He would end this whole entire concern as we know it. When men don't want to take their positions, it's over. It's written in the Lord's word so that you can understand how over it is for us because of the manlessness of the earth, because of the failure by the patriarchy to do what they were supposed to do. How over it is, y'all need to understand, if at all prayers are not going up to heaven by those people that have been charged by God to lead the human race in godliness, there is nobody standing in the gap, therefore, for the countries that we live in, for the villages, the communities, the households. It's written in God's word that men, when they do not listen to women or their wives, in this particular instance, this passage in God's word and the scriptures speaks of wives. Men, if you don't listen to your wives, it is written in the Lord's word that even your prayers are going to get hindered. If you don't heed the helper suitable that I've given you to enable you along, you and your prayers can forget about being answered. And if men cannot successfully pray, we are literally in danger as a planet. As a planet. Y'all need to understand the importance of the patriarchy. God himself is a patriarch. The Holy Spirit is a man. The Son, man. The Father, man. We are the bride of a man when we love the Lord. The man of which is Christ Jesus. And so when manhood falters in society, we're done for. Like all of us are done for. All of us are gone. When men are no longer taking care of women and children, and when they are no longer godly about it, we're done for. And what's currently happening right now is that there's all these men that are insistent on robotizing Eve. They're insistent on robotizing helper suitables, people that the Lord has set apart to help Adam along in his agenda. They so hate, they so loathe the voices of women, taking scripture out of context entirely, where the Lord said a woman must be silent. They so hate our opinions that they can't listen to us when we speak. They loathe our voices because they are not loving us as Christ loved the church, but they are misogynistic and chauvinistic. And when you're a chauvinist, you are hateful of a suggestion by a woman at all. Instead of you feeling, blessed by the counsel, you could run with it or not, but you will definitely take it under advisement. They are not even taking anything we say under advisement. It's like at all. And if we're not talking, what's the point? The Lord did not create Eve to just sit around gathering dust being pretty in front of Adam. She was supposed to be a helper, suitable. And when men don't want to help because they feel as if though I got this, because that's what's happening with me. That's what's happening with y'all. These misogynistic men that can't stand your opinion because they think you're loud-mouthed or you talk too much, you are too opinionated, you are ABC. They just don't like hearing women speak because they are competing with women instead of recognizing their value in contributing to their general cause. Our voices are to be mum in their climate, and upon us being mum and not speaking therefore, who in the world under heaven here is truly helping anyone? Who is helping who? They don't want to take our help. I'm dealing with an ex-boyfriend that I tried to help. But instead, what happened? You know what? Let's move to the next part.